Gymnastics coming at you next.
You're watching the SEC on ESPN. Welcome to the Jacksonville Veterans Memorial Arena in Jacksonville, Florida, the site of the 2017 SEC Gymnastics Championship. The teams today are competing in two separate sessions based on their regular season standings. Later tonight at 6 p.m. Eastern on the SEC Network, we'll see the top 4 teams in the conference: LSU, Florida, Alabama, and Georgia. They happen to be 4 of the top 8 teams in the country. But first, our session number 1, which includes teams ranked 5th through 8th in this powerhouse conference. They are Kentucky, Missouri, Auburn, and Arkansas. A big day of gymnastics coming up in this incredible SEC conference. Hi, everybody. I'm Bart Connor along with Kathy Johnson-Clark. Excited about today's action. Kentucky and Missouri, really impressive turnaround this year for both of these teams.
Absolutely, and it is bragging rights for all of these teams. How you place in the SEC championships, well, that is big time for all of them. But Missouri and Kentucky, wow, having the best seasons they've ever had, their highest national ranking. Nationally, 12th and 14th. It's going to be really exciting and a battle of stuck handstands.
All right, now athletes will be competing simultaneously. 4 events going on at the same time: vault, bars, beam, and floor. There is a lot going on here today in the first session of the SEC Championship. Alex Highland will be the leadoff performer for Kentucky on the vault. Highland, one of the strong all-around performers. There are, in fact, 4 all-arounders on the team for Kentucky, 3 sophomores and a freshman. So a young but exciting team for the Wildcats.
Now what Kentucky has to do is really manage that excitement and the adrenaline you know they feel. You want to go big on these vaults. Not get ahead of yourself and think about the landing too soon, but those are important.
Just like the regular season, 6 athletes compete on each event. The top 5 scores count towards their team total in this SEC championship.
She's doing a Yurchenko full. Not bad on the landing. Good, decent height and distance. Those judges are going to be very particular, though, on the form, the bigness of the vault, and, of course, that landing. They will see those hops back and take deductions.
This format is a little bit different from a typical dual meet competition where there are 2 teams. Once again, there are 4 teams on the floor simultaneously. You can see on the right there, Kentucky on vault, Missouri on bars, Auburn on beam, Arkansas on floor. We're now at Missouri on the bars.
Brittany Ward is new to the bar lineup this year.
Oh,
no. Right off the bat. Big miss on her release move. She had warmed up very well. She was going big here, but just too far away from the bar to make that regress. That's 0.5 of a point off for the fall.
She's known to be one of the most consistent performers on this team. We did note just before the meet that Missouri completely changed their bar lineup order of competition, Kathy. I wonder if that has affected the athletes.
It's hard to say. Here's her dismount, the full pirouette into tuck double flyaway. Now that's going to put some pressure on the rest of the lineup, but this is what these teams do all season long. They prepare for situations like this to feel that kind of pressure.
You see 4 events going simultaneously. Aubrey Rosa from Kentucky, their second vaulter.
She came up with a big vault last weekend for Kentucky and stuck it, not quite here, went big in the air. Just took that hop on the landing. There is an adjustment when you're up on the podium. Everything's just a little bouncier. Your perspective's slightly different. Good distance, though, from the table, but she continued back and hopped.
It is a 4-ring circus, as I mentioned. This is quite unusual for gymnastics fans, but this is how it is when you go to the World Championships or the Olympics, typically in team competition or even the all-around. You'll see all the apparatus going on at the same time. So we're going to be covering it wall to wall for you here on ESPN. In fact, you can watch the all-around channel where you can see all 4 teams competing at the same time on Watch ESPN. There's also team-specific channels where you can watch your favorite school all on Watch ESPN. So anybody who is interested in seeing every routine from your favorite school, you have a chance to see it with a second screen experience on Watch ESPN.
Cullen-Lawlett started for Auburn on the balance beam, put up a very good score for that lead-off routine, a 9.8. Their second gymnast is waiting for the green light from the head judge. They're all waiting. Now, keep in mind, this is the first time in the season that we're going to see 4 judges on each piece of apparatus. So for them to get coordinated, make sure their scores are in line, they cannot be too separated, or they will have to call a conference.
In dual meet competition, there are 2 judges. You average the 2 scores. Here there are 4 judges. The high and low scores thrown out, and the 2 scores in the middle averaged. And so that adds just a little more math to what we're trying to accomplish today. Sydney Dukes, one of their sophomore all-around standout athletes. Very impressive on all 4 events. 16 of the 24 routines for Kentucky come from 4 athletes.
Sydney's a very consistent gymnast for Kentucky. That's a nice vault, a layout half. It's worth a 995 in the code of points.
Just moments ago for Auburn, Sam Sirio on beam in the first rotation. Unfortunate fall for the Tigers.
She'll have to get her concentration back, finish the routine strong. They still have to fight for every 10th of a point, even when they've made a mistake. Missouri's Madeline Huber finished up on the uneven bars for Missouri.
Quick update on some scores. We saw Alex Highland vault for Kentucky. She had a 9.775. Aubrey Rosa followed up with a 9.8. That fall for Brittany Ward for Missouri on the bars cost them. That's a 9.05, so that will be a score they hope to drop. Jessica Yamson was the leadoff performer for Arkansas on the floor, and she had a solid 9.7. Typically, Kathy, we see the scores just a little bit lower at the SEC championships than the regular season. I guess that's a factor of several things, including increased scrutiny from the judges, as well as the 4 judges participating in the final score.
We should see a little bit more nuanced judging here, especially with the 4 judges. And with so many good teams, you need that space in the scoring to separate the good and the superior routines.
Linnea Davis, sophomore for Kentucky and Bowl.
Ooh, off to the side, even on the table, they will take a deduction for that misdirection. You really want to line that up out of the round off the board onto the table and square it up.
Let's go down to Laura Rutledge.
Hey there, Bart. Yeah, we've mentioned some differences in podium and competing on the podium. It makes the floor bouncier, which a lot of gymnasts really like, but Arkansas so far, they've had some trouble staying in bounds on their tumbling. It definitely gets you higher, but you have to control things a little more.
That's a good point, Laura Rutledge. In fact, even the run on your vaulting runway is a little bit more extended because this podium is essentially a 3.5-foot riser where all the apparatus is up off the floor. And it changes the dynamics of the equipment, Kathy. I know it was always a challenge to adjust to it the first time you've experienced it.
I loved it on vault and floor. You felt faster, more powerful, but you do have to learn to control it.
Allison Bauer for Missouri on bars now.
Here's her release move. Lost just a little bit of toe point in the middle of the release. Transition to low bar. She'd go right to Hansen. Might have been a little bit short. Those judges are sitting right on the side. They're going to see that last handstand was a bit short of vertical. But a good double layout, little hop on the landing. She has little deductions in there, so it won't be a huge score, but it's getting them back on track.
What a gymnastics family. The sophomore from Mesa, Arizona. Her mother competed at Nebraska and was the 1990 Big 8 all-around champion. Her brother, Alan, is a senior at the University of Oklahoma.
So a nice landing there from the Kentucky vault.
Just moments ago, Katie Stewart on the vault for Kentucky.
You could really hear her team erupt on this vault. Now I see why. Look at that. No movement. Just had to slide the heels together for the salute.
She's relieved at the solid vault in the first of 4 rotations in this session 1 of the SEC Championship. It's an adjustment for all the athletes, the judges, the coaches, and everybody, with 4 events going on simultaneously. Starting to get into a little bit more of a rhythm now. The scores for Kentucky on vault. Danae Davis had a 9.75, Sydney Dukes a 9.775. Their high scorer so far, Aubrey Rosas, 9.8.
Kentucky has an opportunity here with this vault. She has nice amplitude. It's a very dynamic vault.
This is Molly Korth, the freshman phenom.
And the most difficult vault in their rotation. It's a 1.5 twist. She'll land away. Very good control on that landing. Nice technique in the air. That should score well.
Here's a young lady who showed up on December the 28th. She graduated high school early. And boy, what a spark she has added to this exciting young program at Kentucky.
She really has a lot of great qualities, exciting qualities. Particularly here, brings the difficulty into their lineup, the consistency, and she's so competitive. That is key.
Number 12 in the country based on her RQS ranking. Moments ago for Missouri on the bars, Brooke Kelly. Their high score so far is a 9.725 from Madeline Huber.
Nice.
We saw Allison Bauer get a 9.7.
Oh no, that will be a pretty big deduction right there. That transition down to low bar, missed the handstand position, and then struggled on the kip back up.
Remember, this is a team that's trying to replace the 9.05 from Brittany Ward in the opening performance. Emma Engler just mounted the beam for Auburn in this 4-ring circus. Let's go down to Laura Rutledge.
Yeah, we see Emma Engler on the beam right now. And Auburn telling me they actually like starting with beam because they said, hey, look, we get it out of the way, and then we can keep on going. They've had the one fall from Sam Serio, but otherwise, they've been pretty solid over here, guys, in really adjusting to competing on beam on podium.
Their high score is Cullen Lowick's 9.8, 9.775 with the score for Katie Becker. I think it's just interesting, these lineups basically are, you compete in the order that you qualified based on your ranking. So if you're the best ranking team in that session, you get essentially the Olympic order. Auburn ends up being the 3rd of 4 teams in this session, so they start on B.
Very solid routine for Auburn. You could really see her so focused, really concentrating on every skill in that routine.
Shauna Miller now for Missouri on bars.
Very, very short on that first cast to handstand. Once she gets in her handstand position, it's a beautiful straight body line and good toe point. Getting to it, she loses form, and she's short on that final handstand as well. But it's a big dismount, double layout. Strong, they'll take a deduction for moving that one foot back behind the other.
Samantha Nelson started on floor just now for Arkansas. Their first 2 performers were Jessica Yamson, a 9.7, Mackenzie Anderson, a 9.7 as well. See in your lower right there, Kentucky has completed the vault in the first rotation. That 49.1 will be their team score there. So there are just 3 events now going simultaneously.
The judges are really looking for control on these landings. If you land, you have to step right into the dance move, but show control on those 2 feet first.
Been a challenging year for the Razorbacks. Ranked 26th in the country, which is not where they normally are. They had a tough start because senior Amanda Wellick had a knee injury early in the season, and that one of their star athletes has caused them to be a little bit lacking depth.
That's the type of landing the judges are looking for. Complete control before stepping in the lunge. Nice finish.
Amanda Wellick had an Achilles tear. She had surgery, and they were hoping to have her back later in the season, but unlikely.
This is Becca Schugel for Missouri on the bars, really trying to hit those handstands. Nice form. Even maintained that form in her release move.
Shauna Miller before her a 9.725 and Brooke Kelly a 9.7.
Much better job here, hitting the handstands, and came up with their first stuck landing on the bars. Good for her.
She gets high fives from John Carney in his 4th season there in charge of bars at Missouri. This program is on the rise, so although they had a hiccup in the first performance, the next 4 scores in a row in the 9.7 range for the Tigers in the first of 4 rotations. As you see Shannon Welker on the sidelines there in the gray shirt. He is in his 4th season as the head coach at Missouri after spending 5 years up at Michigan prior as an assistant.
Now this is certainly trying on the nerves of these athletes, having to wait for the scores. They're just a little bit slower than they've been throughout the regular season. They get into a rhythm where you don't have to wait. Gives you time to think up there. You got to really manage those thoughts, those nerves.
That's a good point, because in the regular season, there's a very predictable rhythm of the competition going back and forth, alternating between teams. In this 4-team format, and waiting on judges to calculate more scores, it is a different dynamic on several levels. And so you're right, it's important that the athletes sort of stay in their bubble.
Opens with a double layout, a little bit of a pike down. You want to try and maintain that laid out position a little bit longer.
Let's go down to Laura Rutledge.
Bart, you mentioned staying in the bubble for these teams. It's so important. They've all talked about it, but early on, this has been a little disjointed rhythm-wise because they have been waiting for some scores. They say the waiting's the worst part. You see a lot of their team members keeping them encouraged and comfortable as they're waiting to start their routines.
So far, Arkansas has been very successful with their floor routines, hitting the tumbling runs, good control on their landings.
Sydney McGlone, the sophomore from Dublin, Ohio. Senior night, she won the floor exercise title with a 9.9, a career high for her last week.
Arkansas hitting clean routines. They don't quite have the difficulty in terms of the big tumbling passes we will see later in the competition.
Moments ago, Taylor Krippner finished beam for Auburn. Before her, Emma Slappy had a career high 9.85. So Auburn had one hiccup in Sam Serio's 9.25, but the scores have ranged between 9.75 and 9.85 for the other 4 athletes leading into this performance from Krippner.
The composition and execution of this routine make it a very, very solid anchor routine. Excellent routine, really. Beautiful position on her leaps, really spectacular toe point. She hits that picture in the air, and the judges should appreciate that with their score. Very solid on her landings. Oh, just one little hiccup there, stepping back. The dismount of 1.5 twist. Bit of a hop on the landing, but there were parts of that routine that were so superb.
It looks like Arkansas scratched their last gymnast on the floor. That's Haley Gardner, not going after Sydney McGlone. So let's go down to Laura, who's with Coach Mark Cook.
All right, thank you, Bart. And Coach, you end up scratching your last gymnast, Haley Gardner. What was the thought process behind that in this first floor rotation?
Well, if you have 5 scores, they're pretty good. Haley doesn't really have a really strong routine yet, so we have some injuries this year, so we had to make those adjustments and those decisions. So it made no sense to have her compete and score a score that wasn't basically going to count for the event. So we're just going to keep her healthy for other 2 events.
Yeah, you head to vault now, and you mentioned you were happy with the way this first rotation went for you all. How do you carry that on going forward?
Well, you got to settle down a little more because they're a little excited right now for that first event. So settle in for your next event. Just get a little more calm and just dial in. So it's good. We've got, got some momentum going.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Bart.
Congratulations to Mark Cook. Okay, so the first rotation underway. Molly Korth with that 9.9 helps Kentucky hold on to the lead after the first of 4 rotations. Kentucky, Auburn, Missouri, and Arkansas, the top 4. And welcome back to the 2017 SEC Gymnastics Championship in Jacksonville, Florida. It's a gorgeous day here, and we're glad you've joined us for the first of 2 exciting sessions. Kentucky has the lead after an explosive rotation on the vault, a 49.1. Katie Stewart delivered for her team. This is a young, exciting team. 4 all-arounders, 3 of them sophomore and 1 a freshman.
They definitely managed their nerves, the adrenaline. They went big in the air. That's
and
a very
Molly
good
Korth, she popped a big 9-9 with a 1.5 twister tap.
This definitely topped off the rotation. One of the best vaults we'll see in this early session. A 1.5 twist. That's a 10-0 vault value. And just a tiny little deduction from the judges. Well done.
Auburn had to start on beam, and Sam Serio, typically consistent, struggled only a 9.25, but then Emma Slappy came back with a career-high 9.85.
And what a way to hit your best at the SEC Championships. Very, very well done.
So rotation 2, when we come back, you can see it's Kentucky, Auburn, Missouri, and Arkansas at the SEC Gymnastics Championship. Every year it just gets better and better.
It's tradition, intense rivalries, and periods of dominance.
This about is as good as it gets.
It's a competitive conference and we all want to win.
Wow.
Look at her go.
Having, you know, the greatest competition all in one room, it's really exciting and fun to be around.
That is spectacular.
I think initially you can get in here and go, whoa, how am I going to do this? But it's made us better.
And these teams are all getting so good, and the score is so close, everything counts.
Oh yeah, that just adds to the drama.
What a phenomenal finish.
When it comes down to the SEC title, this is so enormously important to these young ladies. After the first of 4 rotations, Kentucky solid on the vault. They have the lead. Let's go down to the floor to Laura Rutledge.
Bart, we've already talked a little bit about some of the differences competing on podium for these teams, especially on floor. It makes it bouncier, bigger tumbling, but really where you see it is on the harder equipment, so bars and beam. And a lot of these gymnasts telling me that it makes that equipment bouncier, so you really have to tighten your core and squeeze as hard as you can. If you do that, you can be able to succeed in the ways that you're used to, but it's something that they have to keep in their minds throughout. Certainly something that's in their head, guys.
Tighten the core and squeeze as tight as you can.
It also really changes your perspective in terms of your vision.
Right.
What you're used to seeing on balance beam, you are significantly higher off the ground.
Remind people the SEC Gymnastics Championship event format. As we mentioned, 4 events going on simultaneously, 6 gymnasts per team on each apparatus. Just the top 5 scores count towards the team total on each of those apparatus. And the highest team score among both sessions, remember, at 6 p.m. Eastern on the SEC network. 4 other teams, the top 4 teams, will compete. All right, Allison Bauer, we saw her on the bars. There was actually an inquiry on her bar score. It was changed to a 9.75, and here she is now in a leadoff spot for Missouri on beam.
Hopefully we will see a calmer Missouri team. I saw a lot of nerves on their first event on the uneven bars. They have to really get that confidence back in. They've had such a tremendous season, been very consistent.
Really impressed with the work that Shannon Welker has been doing. This is his 4th season running the program at Missouri. Really trying to, as he said, break our progress down into bite-sized pieces. And he seems to be recruiting higher-level athletes. He seems to be changing the culture and really focusing on getting better, and it shows.
Not a bad routine there, just a little balance check earlier in the routine.
But a good start.
Missouri went 10-7 this year, 3-4 in the SEC, but big wins over all three teams that are in this session. They beat Auburn, Kentucky, and Arkansas during the regular season this year.
And you see their assistant coach there, Casey Joe McPherson, does a terrific job coaching balance beam.
McPherson, of course, was one of the former standouts at Arkansas a few years ago. Good to see her staying involved in the sport now as a coach.
One of the biggest challenges.
In the upper left, Arkansas vaulter, Kirby Rathke.
This is Katrina Koka on the uneven bars. Made that release move, hit her handstand, got a little bit of form issues throughout the routine. They are minor, they'll just be cumulative deductions. Hit a pretty good handstand there to set up the dismount. And Kentucky has some very big dismounts, half in, half out. Oh, no need to take that step.
Katie Carlisle before her, she led them off with a career-high 9.85. Kathy, we watched this team really rock through their bar workout yesterday in training. Very impressed with the energy and the enthusiasm of this really young team.
I particularly like the dismounts. They do very big dismounts. We'll see some double layouts and even 2 double layouts with full twists. Still waiting for these judges to just speed up a little and get back into their rhythm as well.
Aspen Tucker on the beam, and here is Leah McMoyle for Arkansas on the vault.
Very nice landing, best part of that vault.
That is the first stick for Arkansas over there. Jessica Yamson led them off with a 9.675. Kirby Rathjen a 9.625. So the scores not yet very high on vault for Arkansas.
Very nice, tight body, good landing. Not super high, her head was just a little lower than the level of the table, but Sydney Dukes on bars shows such nice form, straight legs, beautiful toe point, just a little bit of leg separation.
Katrina Koka had a 9.85, so the first 2 scores for Kentucky on bars are both 9.85.
This is certainly one of their best events. Check this dismount out, double layout. Oh, did not quite get the release point on that dismount, so she had to kind of whip it a little bit, hit the layout, and then pike down.
Kentucky went 10-4-1 this year. Rachel Garrison and Tim Garrison, and there, of course, Chuck Dickerson in his 10th season working with the program. He has made a big difference in the quality of the gymnastics we're seeing from Kentucky. Remember, a couple of years ago, they struggled with injuries and illness, but it's great to see the Wildcats doing well here. Heather Ellswick now on vault for Arkansas. Leah McMoyle before her, a 9.775, their high score.
And she is one of their better vaulters here, gets very nice form in the air. That long body makes the vault look high off the table.
Arkansas was 4th after the first of 4 rotations here. Let's take a look at the metrics on this vault, Kathy.
I saw her a little bit higher in the warm-up. She had a little angle on her shoulders on the table, so she didn't quite get up, but she was about 4 feet off the table, 7 feet on the landing. The distance was a little bit better than the height.
Katie Stewart set to go on the bars now for Kentucky. They have had an impressive start. The first 2 scores were 9.85. We're waiting yet on the score for Sydney Duke. Here it is. Dukes gets a 9.725. Katie Stewart, one of their outstanding young gymnasts here for Kentucky.
She was a little bit erratic earlier in the season, but really seems to have gotten back on track on this event. The best part of the routine is the very big dismount. Tiny bit short on that last handstand, but watch this.
double layout with a full twist.
Beautiful.
And a beautiful landing. The judges will love that dismount.
There is Tim Garrison giving her high fives. Katie Stewart, the sophomore from Sewanee, Georgia, rocks a huge different dismount. Moments ago for Arkansas on the vault, Sydney McGlone after Heather Ellswick's 9.8.
This tends to be a higher vault. Yep. Head was above the level of the table, came up with a very good controlled landing as well.
There's a lot going on here in Jacksonville, and it's all going on simultaneously.
Oh, just stepped out of bounds. That's a 1/10 of a point off when you cross over that line.
Lucia Scaglione for Auburn on the floor. Katie Becker led them off with a 9.65. Gracie Day, a very strong 9.825. Mentioned Auburn was in second after the first rotation here. Remember, you can watch the all-around channel where you can see all 4 teams competing at the same time on Watch ESPN. And of course, if you want to watch specifically your own favorite team, you can do that as well. Specific channels dedicated to each team on each apparatus on Watch ESPN. Great speed on the vault, the final vault for Arkansas.
And they finish with their highest vault of the rotation.
Sydney McGlone before her had a 9.85, so good job for Arkansas in the second rotation. Alex Hyland, one of the outstanding all-around athletes for Kentucky on the bars now.
Oh, very short on that first handstand. We mentioned earlier, we don't see many Gingers that release move, the flyaway with a half twist. Much better job on that final handstand to set up the dismount. And it's another big one, half in, half out. Much better on the landing. They are definitely finding these landings here.
Very impressive work for this young team from Kentucky. Here's a young lady who is number 18 in the country in the all-around.
Now you'll see she's definitely too short on that handstand. They will deduct there. The dismount, nicely done. Look how tight she kept her knees together, her toes pointed all the way through.
We're keeping track of stuck landings as well today, because obviously a stuck landing in competitions like this that come down to 1/10 of a point really does matter. Arkansas has 5 stuck landings out of 5 vaults in that second rotation. So a terrific job. And a career high by Katie Carlisle. Katie Stewart had a 9.825. Katrina Coca a 9.85. We do not yet, excuse me, that score, the stuck landings are for Kentucky on bars. Pardon me, I misread my notes here. So Kentucky not only clean on bars, but sticking everything, as we saw in yesterday's training session.
Slappy on floor exercise for Auburn.
Talk about this exciting freshman, Molly Korth, came out of Wisconsin. She really flew under the radar of a lot of the college coaches, but boy, what a difference maker she is.
So aggressive on this event. You can see her attack those handstand positions and place that release move, just the perfect distance from the bar to barely grasp it. Swinging quite well. And that's gorgeous.
Wow.
Double layout with a full twist. Great difficulty right at the end of the routine.
You know, she struggled a little bit in yesterday's training session. Couldn't make that dismount around.
And in the warm-ups as well. She was rushing into the handstands, but she took her time.
Talk about a perfect landing. Chest up on one of the most difficult dismounts that you can do on the uneven bars. The freshman, Molly Korth, nails one. And in fact, Kentucky sticks 6 for 6 on the bars. They should hold on to the lead here in the second rotation based on what they showed there. Wow. Brooke Kelly on the beam now for Missouri. High score so far, Tia Albritton's 9.8. Let's go down to Laura.
Bart, Kathy mentioned Missouri being a little nervous early on. They really settled down here on beam. They now have 4 hit routines leading into Brooke Kelly, and they keep talking about breathing. It seems to be working.
They look much more confident, much more relaxed. Before everyone goes up on the balance beam, you can see their coach, Casey Joe, talking to them right to their face, calming them down, and it is paying off. Doing a terrific job, routine after routine.
They have stuck every landing on beam, which is a definite plus. Sophomore from Birmingham, Alabama, Brooke Kelly.
Really, really nicely done. Good for them. Nice to see them rebound from some of the issues they had on uneven bars.
They had a little bit of a rough start to the season when they lost Morgan Porter to an Achilles injury, so they have really rallied and put together a fine team effort. They have now completed 2 of 4 rotations at this SEC championship. Cullen Lawick now for Auburn on floor. Their high score so far is Gracie Day's 9.825.
Watch her first tumbling pass. She used to do a double Arabian. It was just too hard on her feet. This is now what I call a 2.5 twist with a bounce in between. She does a Rudy and then right into a back with a full.
Emma Slappy had a 9.85.
Then comes right back with a tuck double back, showing good control on these landings.
Auburn is another team without one of their stars. Abby Millay suffered a knee injury during the warm-ups of the dual meet against Florida. We were there, Kathy, and so we saw her on the sideline. She's coming back and will likely be back in full strength next year. But an unexpected hiccup for Auburn this year when one of their star all-arounders out of the lineup.
Rachel Ennis has done such a terrific job with the choreography on all of Auburn's routines. The punch between those 2 somersaults. A very fun ending pose. That's the way I feel sometimes, or at least I used to when I used to do these floor routines.
Moments ago, Brittany Ward for Missouri on beam. They've had good scores there. 9.825 was the score for Brooke Kelly. So she followed up Becca Schugel's 9.85 as well.
They have been so consistent on this event all season long. Brittany can be really close to perfection here. 3 elements right in a row. 2 back handspring to a layout step out. I like her posture. She stretches up tall. Just her dance series, 2 leaps in a row. She also pays close attention to the detail. Her fingertips up on high toe.
She's tied for 7th in NCAA rankings on this event. You can see why she's in that anchor spot.
She earned regular season All-America honors on this event. You can see why. Oh no, landed with her chest down a little bit, but she worked through it and did not give up too much.
She's averaged over 9.9 on this event this year.
Finishes strong with a 1.5 twist and a perfect landing on that. I only saw that 1 error on the aerial cartwheel.
And now we are live with MJ Rote from Auburn on floor. It's always a highlight.
He's so exciting.
So down to Laura Rutledge.
Bart, MJ Rote is the heart and soul of this Auburn team as their senior leader, and she said she's put too much pressure on herself all year long. She just wanted to come out here today and have fun. She's been smiling and keeping this team really loose throughout this competition so far.
The senior from Stillwater, Minnesota.
part of the squad that made it to the Super Six finals. We saw that very exciting year from Auburn. They've struggled a little bit this season with injuries, but they have just kept fighting every meet.
Laura Rutledge, you should take note of this. Her dream job would be doing sideline reporting for ESPN.
Finishes with a double back in Pike's position. They might take a little bit on that landing, just slightly uncertain, but wow, so much power in her tumbling and even in her dance.
Coach Jeff Graba told us a few years back he was really recruiting for power. He said that's how we're going to get noticed in this powerhouse conference. We're going to recruit athletes that can tumble and vault with big difficulty. And of course, one of those game changers for him was when Caitlin Atkinson committed to Auburn, and she had a fine career. And he's really built his whole program on taking powerful athletes and cleaning up their gymnastics, but getting good scores as a result.
Next year will be exciting. They're bringing in 6 freshmen, so this Auburn team will continue with this program that we've seen evolve over the years.
And Laura is down with Coach Graba now.
All right, thank you, Bart. And Coach MJ Road ending that floor rotation with a bang, but scores over 9-8 throughout. What did you think?
I liked what we did there. I mean, we're trying to get the girls figuring out how to get on a roll and stay on a roll, and it seems like they're getting that figured out. So overall, we're not looking at scores. We're not looking at anything except are we happy with what we did? And I think that definitely 2 events now we're pretty happy.
Yeah, you're not looking at scores, but you do happen to be in second place. As you head to vault, how can you kind of build on what you've done so far?
Well, I told them we're going to another energy event, and we need to keep our energy up. If we keep our energy up, we'll be in a pretty good spot.
Your energy's up, so there we go.
Yeah, exactly.
Bart.
All right, congratulations, Jeff, and thank you, Laura. MJ Road lights it up for the Auburn Tigers on the floor. More gymnastics when we come back. Welcome back to Jacksonville, Florida. Kentucky with the lead at the halfway point in this first session of the SEC Gymnastics Championship. And Kathy Johnson-Clark, they were incredible on bars, stuck 6 landings out of 6 performances.
I said it in the beginning, it will be a battle of handstands and stuck landings, and they just went for it big time on uneven bars with huge dismounts. Difficulty was there, the height and distance was there, but look at that landing. When the judges can't take a deduction on that landing, those 1/10 of a points add up and puts them in the lead.
And Molly Korth, after nailing a vault, she comes up big again on the bars. Auburn making moves, however. They've already completed beam, and they were very solid throughout on floor. Gracie Day, an impressive 9.825.
When you can open the competition on balance beam and put pressure on the other teams, you're in a good place.
And as advertised, MJ Road delivers on floor.
So exciting for this team. They had a tough season, but they were the little engine that could. They continue to be, and they just keep plugging away.
And the top 2 teams are separated by only 125 thousandths of a point. Coming up, we'll move on to the 3rd rotation.
When you go
stay true to my rules, never waver on the flavor, no Bruce Wayne shoes, no diggity, no Dr. Seuss.
And there was a look at the trophy that will be presented later today. There are 2 sessions of competition. The first session featuring teams ranked 5, 6, 7, and 8 in this powerhouse SEC conference, and then later on tonight at 6 p.m. Eastern on the SEC network, we'll see the top 4 teams, and they happen to be 4 of the top 8 teams in the country battle it out as well. Great day of gymnastics. Barconnor along with Kathy Johnson-Clark. And Kathy, we talked about how these championships often come down to details. We've been quite impressed so far with this young team from Kentucky. They've kept their cool and they've stuck their landings.
And they are not holding back. Sometimes that is what a team who's done really well comes in as the favorite in this rotation. They might go after it by trying not to make mistakes, and they're not. They're going big, they're doing their best gymnastics, and you can really see the preparation that they've gone through for this moment. Making the most of it.
All right, once again, it's a quad box, which means we have 4 teams going simultaneously. Katie Stewart, the leadoff performer for Kentucky on the crucial balance beam event.
And this is the event they're ranked highest on in the SEC. They're ranked 4th. So they've competed really consistently, very confidently throughout the season.
We talked about some of their big moments this year. Coming into this season, they were 0-70 against Alabama. 0-70. And they got their first win against the Crimson Tide. It was a huge boost for this program. Tim Garrison in his 6th year.
Oh, nice flexibility and balance. A unique pose. This is a super solid leadoff routine for Kentucky. That is exactly what you want in that position. I love to see the improvement I've seen with this team. They're just really perfecting what they do.
Emma Engler set to go for Auburn on the vault. Here's a young lady who had an injury to her knee, came back strong halfway through the season last year.
I glanced over to watch them do their final touch warm-up on this event. I'm really seeing so much energy with this team. I'm sure competing so well so far has infused that in them. I'm seeing good height, good distance, bigger vaults than I've seen from them all season. Now, if they could just find those landings.
Katie Becker led them off with a 9.775.
Molly Forth is waiting to go on the balance beam. She'll be second up on balance beam. Haley Garner getting ready to go on the uneven bars. I was really impressed with her clean form in the warm-ups on this event. Let's see if she can go after it.
Kenzie Anderson led off Arkansas with a 9.75. Haley Garner, you might remember, was in the lineup on the floor, but they had 5 solid scores for the Razorbacks, so they chose to not compete her. It's okay by the rules. You just need to count your best 5 scores.
And this is an important routine for them. Very clean form from start to finish.
One lady's a freshman from Arlington, Tennessee.
Beautiful rhythm, patience on this event. Hit those handstands and gets the landing on a full twisting double back. Great job.
A Miracle Phillips on vault for Auburn.
Look at the height. Nice height on that Yurchenko full.
She was coming up after Emma Engler had a season-high 9.8 here in the SEC Championship. Moments ago, Molly Forth mounted the beam for Kentucky. 9.85 was the score for Katie Stewart in that all-important leadoff role.
What I've really noticed about this gymnast is how she rises to the occasion in competition. Very, very competitive spirit. And she's able to control that spirit, though, and really hyper-focus on getting the job done. It's just a little bit more amplitude on her leaps. Those are the little things, but the judges will nitpick, especially this time of the season. They want to see a full split in the air in perfect form with those legs and feet.
Forth is normally in an anchor position on the other events, but here she's second up for Kentucky.
Double twist, had to hop forward just a little bit. One of the few times we don't see her nail the landing.
Jessica Yamson for Arkansas on bars. Haley Garner score is yet to come in. Looks to be a 9.875. 2 stuck landings for Arkansas on bars so far.
The form is just not quite stretched in that handstand position. Oh, big, hard dismount, but really had to pike down to get the landing.
The freshman from Las Vegas did her club training at GymCast. Solid on all 4 events, a big, difficult dismount.
Now, it's not just hitting the vertical position. You really want to see the form. Notice she's got a little arch to her back, goes beyond, so that will be a slight deduction there, a little wobble in the back.
Seeing a lot of aggressiveness from these routines, though. This is good.
MJ wrote on vault, big full. Oh, I wish she could have gotten the landing on that. That was the cleanest and biggest vault from Auburn so far.
Miracle Phillips had a 9.85 career high. We saw her vault. They have 2 9.8s from Engler and Taylor Krippner.
Nice open out of that position. She was trying so hard to find the landing, couldn't quite get it.
Jeff Graba, giving a few tips on the sideline.
I do think he'll be happy with the vaults because all season long he has really tried to up the level of their vaulting by going big. Let's not worry about the landings yet. This time of the season, I'm sure he'd like to see them get some landings, but they're still trying to get those vaults a little more dynamic.
Gracie Day on vault now. She's the final vaulter for Auburn. See her vault RQS, and RQS is a calculated number. It's a ranking system based on home and away average scores.
Another nice vault. She's slightly off to the side. Not sure that the judges will be able to see that from their perspective. But another good, clean Yurchenko fold. Later in the competition, we'll see, this evening certainly, we'll see a lot of 10-0 vaults, the 1.5 twists, even some double twists. We're seeing a lot of Yurchenko falls.
MJ Road had a 9.85. So vault is complete for Auburn. We'll report the score for Gracie Day when we get it. Katie Carlisle, first time competing in the lineup of the SEC Championship.
They all perform very clean routines. You can see the attention they've paid to these details, really trying to perfect the positions.
She's one of the few upperclassmen on this team. She's a junior from Newark, Ohio. There are no seniors on this team. And the bulk of their routines, as we mentioned, come from freshmen and sophomore all-around gymnasts. 16 of 24 routines from those 4 athletes.
Needed to show just a little bit more split on the leap and the jump. Running for, oh no. That will be a sizable deduction anytime you bend over at the waist to prevent a fall. That can be up to 0.3 of a point deduction.
We'll see Carlisle on the bars. Excuse me, we saw Carlisle on the bars earlier.
Let's check out the position in the air. We really want to see the picture in the air. She just not quite gets to the full split she does, but now keep in mind, when you're looking at it in real time, that second jump wasn't closed. Now look, bent all the way over at the hips. That will be the biggest deduction in the routine.
For Arkansas, moments ago, Leah McMoyle on the bars. She came up short in a free hip handstand and fell. So she lost a half a point and continued her routine from that point on.
She had trouble in the workout and in the warm-ups preceding the competition. So just didn't quite get it back together.
Arkansas had 2 stuck landings prior to that mistake for them, unfortunately. Brooke Kelly now for Missouri on the floor. Their high scores, 2 of them, Allison Bauer and Madeline Huber, have 9.75s on this event.
Very precise landing on the first tumbling pass. Things you want to watch for on this event: clean footwork, really showing the toe point, the positions in the air for their leaps and jumps, and the musicality, how the choreography actually goes with the music. Most of the gymnasts do 3 tumbling passes in their routine. The more flips and twists, the more difficulty in the routine. They do a combination pass. There's a front layout to a front full for her final pass.
Kathy, you know, we mentioned that this is the first meet of the year where these teams are judged by 4 judges, meaning the high and low scores thrown out and the 2 scores in the middle. Molly Korth is the only athlete to score 9.9 or better today, and in dual meet competition we see a lot of 9.9s.
I think we're seeing more of an effort to separate the truly spectacular routines from the good routines. All of these gymnasts have enough difficulty in their routine to have it scored from a 10.0, but there are differences. Some gymnasts do far more difficulty in their routine. They have to take that into consideration. Some have better technique and form.
Sydney Dukes coming off 4 solid routines for Kentucky. They have a 9.85, 9.825, a 9.8, and Katie Carlisle's 9.7.
Better position in those leaps, really showing off the flexibility and the form in the air.
Go down to Laura.
Bart, we've seen Kentucky's confidence continue over to beam. As you mentioned, they've been hitting throughout, and Katie Carlisle's little bobble was really the only thing. Sydney Dukes just had a very clean, nice routine. One thing I've noticed, a lot of them smile when they're on the beam, and I know Kathy likes that. Sometimes the smiling can actually help.
It's definitely a form of relaxation. We'll see it from Alex Highland as well. If you can relax the face, get into a rhythm, that's an important thing on balance beam. Really practice that rhythm. The repetition on this event is really critical to perfection.
Sydney Dukes, by the way, her score in is at 9.9, so that's the second 9.9 today. And in fact, that is the high score on beam for any of these teams so far in this SEC championship. At the end of the day, they'll be rewarding individual champions in the all-around and individual events as well. Becca Schugel starts on the floor for Missouri, while Highland is finishing up on the beam for Kentucky.
Finished a really solid routine. Just excellent work by all of the Kentucky gymnasts on beam.
And the 4th stuck landing again for Kentucky, having an outstanding day here. 3 rotations complete for the Wildcats, doing a nice job, this very young, exciting team.
Missouri's definitely battling back. Their scores are in the high 9.6 to 9.75 range.
Becca Schugel, the junior from Eagan, Minnesota. Typically, she's between 9.8 and 9.9 on everything. She's a very balanced gymnast.
with a fun double twist to a punch front.
Nice job. So the score is good for Missouri, but not outstanding. The highest score so far is Allison Bauer's 9.75 and Madeline Huber's 9.75.
Check out this cool triple twist. We don't get to see this very often in college gymnastics. I think we'll have 2 here at the SEC Championships. Much more difficulty.
See one from Alex McMurtry in the second session tonight from Florida. How about this double full punch front?
Pretty cool.
That's only done if you have cast iron Achilles tendons.
I knew where you were going with that.
John Carney, assistant coach at Missouri, giving her congratulations. So Missouri showed a little bit of nerves in the first rotation, but they have calmed down. Alex Hyland's score came in on the beam, a 9.95, a career high. So an outstanding effort. That is the high score of the day so far on that event. And Kentucky rolling here in the third rotation of 4. The low score for Kentucky was Katie Carlisle's 9.7, which they will drop. But every other score between 9.8 and 9.95 on the perilous balance beam. So what a great effort for the Wildcats in that third rotation. Our last competitor in this rotation, Kennedy Harris from Missouri.
And this is always a crowd favorite routine.
Junior from Atlanta, Georgia.
She really turns it up a notch, shows a lot of power in her tumbling, very explosive.
Becca Schugel had a 9.85, so that is their high score for Missouri in this rotation so far. The score they're hoping to drop is the 9.675. At this point, as you see the scores there on your lower red, Kentucky in the lead, Missouri with a 146.6, hoping to replace that low score with whatever they get from Kennedy Harris and move up.
Very clean double backs in this routine. Opening run and the final tumbling run. Strong finish. The scores really picking up for Missouri on the floor exercise. Their final 2 scores will really help their total.
All right, that completes the third of 4 rotations in the session 1 at these SEC Championships. These teams are ranked 5th through 8th in this powerhouse conference. Kentucky, Missouri, Auburn, and Arkansas. Backpacks on, and they're ready to rotate to the 4th and final rotation of these SEC Championships. Kentucky really spectacular today so far, and Alex Hyland's 9.95 career high capped off an outstanding rotation on the beam.
And Auburn stepping up, good for them. They have really improved on their
Describe the way Kennedy Harris was able to finish out that rotation.
Yeah, good. You know, she's doing things that she's been doing for us all year long. So excellent. She had a great presence out there. Obviously, the amplitude on her tumbling is exquisite. So pretty proud of her.
How has this team gotten better as this meet's gone along?
Yeah, they're doing well. You know, we've showed this tenacity throughout the year. If we get off to a little bit of a slow start sometimes, they've been able to really bounce back and just keep building. You know, we've been doing it the last few weeks. I think moving forward, I'd like to see us get off to a little stronger start because I think we're going to need to, but they're doing well.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, thanks so much.
Bart.
All right, congratulations to Shannon Welker. Thank you, Laura. All right, Kentucky extended their lead by 0.3 of a point after the third rotation, fourth and final rotation when we come back to Jacksonville. You're watching the 2017 SEC Gymnastics Championship. We're in Jacksonville, Florida. Here are the scores after the third of 4 rotation. Kentucky extends their lead by 0.3 of a point over Auburn, Missouri, and Arkansas. Auburn was impressive on the vault. In fact, 2 career highs from America Phillips and Gracie Day in this rotation.
Gracie Day really finished off a very strong vault rotation for Auburn. So great to see this team step up, rise to the occasion for these SEC championships, and they're putting up their best gymnastics of the season so far.
And Kentucky went to the beam, and they stayed hot there.
Most impressive on this event. So calm, collected, really precise, every single routine.
After Sydney Duke's 9.9, Alex Highland came in with a 9.95.
What a way for this great Kentucky beam team to finish. It's their highest ranked event, and they also rose to this occasion, finished strong.
All right, as we said, it's a big day at gymnastics. 2 sessions. We're watching session 1. But later on tonight, 6 Eastern on the SEC Network, the other teams, and boy, they're coming in the building. Lots of great gymnastics live today. You don't want to miss it. As well as the cool-headed competitiveness we've seen from them so far.
I think that the struggles they had over the past couple of years have strengthened them so much. Their 2 juniors are doing their best gymnastics of their college careers. That sophomore class is such the core of this team. But they're really paying attention to the details, the little things. They look so perfect, especially on beam and bars. Those events were really exceptional for them.
We followed their progress since Tim Garrison took over. He's in his 6th year there as the head coach. And we watched him sort of input his philosophy into the program at Kentucky.
And his wife, Rachel
really
Garrison, I think is really, we're seeing the improvement on balance beam. The way they compete, the way they perform, but you can see that in their training that they have really improved.
He was talking about how hard it is to recruit, because obviously they haven't been one of the top tier SEC teams, and so all the top gymnasts want to go to the, you know, the glamorous programs, and yet he said, I just need a few athletes to commit, and we can show them what we can do. And now he has 3 athletes in the top 18 in the all-around in the country, and they're all very young. Okay, let's go to the vault now. Madeline Huber from Missouri.
And this is an opportunity for them to go big. Very good opening vault for them.
A little less than a point away from Kentucky there in 3rd place. Katie Carlisle will lead it off for Kentucky on the floor.
She is really showing signs of peaking at the right time. If you track her scores throughout the course of the season, she has just improved steadily throughout.
I thought it was interesting a couple of years ago when we talked to Coach Tim Garrison. He said, we no longer want to be known as the other team in the meet. We want to make a name for ourselves, and I think it's happening right in front of our eyes today, Kathy. Hard work is paying off for this team.
And I think they expected a little closer match at this point with Missouri. They had head-to-head competition just a week before. Missouri actually got the best of them.
Now Missouri is a little less than a point behind Kentucky. Auburn currently in 2nd, and they're having an outstanding day. Angie Kern to the vault now for Missouri. 9.8 was the score for Madeline Huber in the leadoff role.
Yurchenko half, really good control, nice clean form in the air. I think we both expected it to be very, very close on these final rotations. This is Auburn on bars. Unfortunately, came up short on the double layout.
That was unfortunate. The leadoff performance for Auburn, currently in second in the team competition. It's Kentucky, then Auburn, Missouri, and Arkansas. So that puts a little additional pressure on Kelsey Kopech because the score is in now for Katie Becker. It's only a 9-1.
Kelsey is the veteran, though, the senior on the team. This is her event. She specializes. She really wants to finish out her season, her senior season strong. It's been a long 4 years, an exciting one. And she could really cap it off here, excelling at the, oh, almost got the landing, just a step forward. Good to get them back on track, though, because they're in a great position in this last rotation.
Even these teams are ranked 5th through 7th to 8th in the SEC. It's all about winning today's session for these teams. And Kennedy Harris will step up to vault for Missouri. 9-8 was Madeline Huber's score. Angie Kern after her had a 9.75.
That hop forward was a little big. They're going to take a deduction there. They can't quite find the landings on these vaults. They're close, but not quite. Corey Reckenmacher on the floor exercise. This is the only event she's doing. So she's going to put her all into this routine. The judges are looking at the dance, the tumbling, all of it, the entire performance.
We thought we might see her in the beam lineup, but she was taken from that lineup, but here she is now on the floor.
No, out of bounds. They'll take off the 10 for the step out, but also another 10 or 2 for that large bounce and step out of the tumbling run.
Once again, as Laura pointed out earlier, this floor is on a podium, so everything's just a little bit bouncier. So if you have a little trouble with your landing, it gets amplified on the podium. Taylor Krippner on bars at the same time for Auburn. By the way, Kelsey Kopech came back after their 9-1 for Becker with a 9.75 for Auburn on bars.
This is a strong event for Auburn. That's a good routine.
Good on to Laura.
Yeah, for Kentucky, Bart, right before this final rotation, Tim Garrison telling his squad not to let up. He said, keep the energy going. Let's not let up now. We've been so good so far today.
And another out of bounds. So Kentucky energized, but perhaps for a little too much on the floor.
Those are definitely tenths of a point. They don't want to give up.
Coming into this fourth and final rotation, Kentucky over Auburn by just 0.7 of a point. And all of those steps out of bounds not only are landing deductions, as you mentioned, but they are additionally out of bounds deductions, additional 0.1 of a point.
And it's interesting, you probably think the coaches are watching some of the little mistakes. They know that the doors are opening just a little bit, giving them an opportunity. The gymnasts, though, have to stay in their zone, in their bubbles.
Whitney Ward.
Half on, front pike. That's a 10-0 start value.
What nice
vault.
form.
Really nice form. They might take off. She's slightly off center a little bit, but having that advantage of a 10-0 start value certainly helps.
Aspen Tucker before her had a 9.85, and moments ago Sam Serio for Auburn on bars coming after Taylor Krippner's 9.8. All right.
Auburn's best events, the uneven bars. They can be really very clean, very consistent on this event.
Remember, they're hoping to replace the score of 9-1, the mistake by Katie Becker in the leadoff role.
Excellent handstand for that final time. Full pirouette into the double back. Notice how she fought for that landing. She's not going to move those feet. Just want to save every 10th of a point you can. And by holding tight in that position before turning to the judges' help.
Katie Stewart on the floor for Kentucky. Corey Reckenmacher, a 9.525. So those landing deductions and twice out of bounds cost her significantly. Their best score over there so far is Katie Carlisle's 9.75.
On the other events, they only have to make that one landing. The bar dismount and the vault floor has 3 landings they have to really pay close attention to.
Shauna Miller, the final vaulter for Missouri. Brittany Ward before her, a 9.875.
Oh, I think she stayed in.
I think she did too. I didn't see the flag raised. Pretty clever landing there. Lifted her foot just in time. Top 2 teams separated by just 0.7 of a point coming into this 4th and final rotation. Auburn on the bars. At the same time, well, Kentucky's on the floor.
This is a well choreographed routine. Goes with the music. Very clean throughout. Nice job.
Moments ago, Gracie Day took to the bars for Auburn. She's coming off of a 9.9 career high for Sam Serio. So Serio, who struggled on beam, came up big in the 4th and final rotation.
Starts this routine off with 2 excellent handstand positions. Check out the toe point that she keeps all the way throughout the release move. Feet glued together. Nice handstand. Excellent. Oh, just that step at the very end.
And that's the 4th hit in a row for the Auburn Tigers after the opening mistake. So they have 4 solid routines. They'll need just 1 more when Emma Engler takes to the bars, their final performer.
No matter what, I think both Kentucky and Auburn's coaches have to be so pleased with their athletes in this competition. They've really handled the pressure of competing at the SEC championships. They've handled it well. They've prepared well.
Alex Hyland, we saw her 9.95 on beam in the last rotation. That is still the high score of the day. At the same time, Emma Engler is anchoring bars for Auburn. So Gracie Day had a 9.875. This is going to be close.
And so far, Emma Engler is hitting this routine beautifully. This is as well as I've seen her swing this bar routine. Aggressively going after the handstands. Let's see if she can get a stick. There it is.
Wow.
Very nice finish for Auburn on the bars.
What a great day for the Auburn Tigers. That'll wrap up their team effort in the 4th and final rotation. After a mistake, 5 really impressive bar routines when they needed them. Hyland doing well on floor.
I really love to see the position she hits in the air on her leaps. Very pretty.
Remember the scores for Kentucky, 9.75 for Katie Carlisle, and then Corey Reckenmacher, a 9.525. Katie Stewart, a 9.775. So
we really want to see some higher scores on these final 3 routines for Kentucky, and they can do it.
they had a lead over Auburn in this rotation by just 0.7 of a point, squandering some of those valuable points on landings. Sydney McGlone moments ago on beam for Arkansas after a 9.8 and 2 9.85s. Gray Speed had an unfortunate 9.225. So McGlone, the 5th of 6 Razorbacks on beam.
Really too bad because they started off like gangbusters. Those first 3 routines were 9.8 or higher, 9.85s. If they can finish strong here, it'll be an excellent final rotation for Arkansas.
Oh.
Fortunately, that's their second broken routine. They will have to count a fall in their final rotation. They've struggled really throughout the season on this event and not been consistent.
Coach Mark Cook said, you know, with the injuries that we've had, it really affected our depth this year. You can see there's a lot of talent there, but perhaps lacking a bit of experience for the young Razorback. Ranked 26 in the nation in team competition. Typically, they're a contender here in the SEC, and they've been as high as ranked #1 in the country before, but this year struggling a bit. Sydney Dukes takes to the floor now. By the way, scores are in for Auburn. It's a season high on bars, 49-225. So their team score is in. You can see it, 196.55. See what Kentucky can do. Alex Highland came in with a 9.85. So 2 performances left. This one from Dukes, and then the freshman Molly Korth will wrap it up for the Wildcats in this final rotation.
So far, very strong open with a pike double back and just perfect control on the landing. Showed off great leaps. Nice job with the performance quality as well, really connecting the audience with the judges. Back, tiny hop back. Good routine. First 2 landings were excellent.
The biggest score for Kentucky on floor so far is the 9.85 from Alex Highland, who had an outstanding day.
Showed really, really nice control on that landing. That's the perfect amount of step you can take into the lunge to not get a deduction. Her middle pass was the combination front full to a front layout, and again, excellent control.
Take a look at these scores. A season high for Auburn on the bars. So with these scores calculated in, Auburn is done. The fate of the meet and Kentucky's lead is going to come down to the hands of the young freshman Molly Korth. We're waiting on the score for Sydney Dukes, but here's a young lady from Wisconsin who joined the team December 28th. 9 days later, she's in her first college meet. And how about this, your freshman year? A lot of pressure for this young lady. Let's go down to Laura Rutledge.
Tim Garrison just talking to his freshman Molly Korth and saying, hey, just remember the control that we talked about. Also just telling her to breathe. I've seen her take quite a few deep breaths just in these last moments, Bart.
Freshman out of Cambridge, Wisconsin. Sydney Duke's score is in, 9.775.
Molly really lights up.
Okay, we've done the math. A 9.8 will win it for Kentucky if Molly Korth, the young freshman, can get a 9.8 or better. Kentucky wins this session. Boom!
Opens with a full in, good control. The main thing is stay in bounds.
It's a good point. You can finesse landings, but an out of bounds is a deduction that judges have to take.
Such composure throughout all of her meets. She had 2 minor little hiccups throughout the season, but other than that, she has been incredibly consistent.
Wouldn't this be a thrill if they could cap it off with a victory with this extremely young team? 3 sophomore and 1 freshman all-arounders, 16 routines from 4 gymnasts.
perfect lift off the floor into that pike double back, and a great landing, great finish for this young lady.
I think that's going to do it for Kentucky. They had wins this year in the SEC over Alabama, which was huge, their first time in 71 attempts. They beat Auburn and they beat Arkansas, and will they win session 1 of the SEC championships? Kathy, what did you think about this routine?
Well, they are really looking closely at all the landings. Her chest was just a little bit down there. They may take a tiny deduction for that.
Remember, the score of a 9.525 from Reckenmacher is the one they're trying to replace.
Really nice lift, and even better landing on that final tumbling pass than the first one.
Auburn did their part. They had a season high on the bars in the final rotation. Kentucky started off strong and rolled through this competition. You see there, Molly Korth needs a 9-8 or better to win this session and be the leader at the halfway point in today's SEC championship. Remember, tonight at 6 on the SEC network, 4 more teams will compete. So the score is in for Molly Korth. It's a 9.85. So by 5/100ths of a point, the young freshman will secure the victory in session 1. Kentucky will finish first, Auburn second, Missouri third, and Arkansas fourth. We know the scores because we got these nifty little computer devices here, but they are waiting in the house to hear the final score. Let's wait and see her reaction.
You can tell they know it is very, very close. They don't know exactly what she needed. They just know it's tight.
What an improvement we've seen in this team over the last couple of years. 2 years ago, Tim Garrison's program had so many injuries and illness. You wondered how they kept their spirits alive. Last year, they showed some improvement, and this year, they had a very young, dynamic team that poured it on in this competition. They do not yet know the final results, but we do. And we will talk to them when we come back. What a great session 1 here at the SEC Championship.
First of all, congratulations to you, Coach. In those final moments, you may not have known this, but Molly needed a 9.8 to win the meet. She gets the 9.85. What were you thinking right before her floor routine?
Hit this routine, young lady. That's what I was thinking. I just walked to her and I told her, I said, hey, let's have some fun out here. Let's enjoy this moment. And she said, let's rock this. So, hey, she went out and rocked it.
Yeah, rock it she did. It seems appropriate with as essential as she's been to this team throughout this season for it to come down to her to win this first session. How would you describe the feeling of winning this?
Well, it's the first time we've been fortunate enough to win the first session of the SEC Championship, so it's just a great feeling. Anytime you get a win in the SEC with as strong as this conference is, it's something special. But when you do it against 3 other teams at the end of the season, when you're supposed to be hitting in high gear, it's extra special. It's a great feeling.
A couple years ago, this team was dealing with injuries, illness. It just seemed like every other week there was another story that was unfortunate for you guys. How would you describe the journey to get to this point?
It's been a long journey, but fortunately we've had some young ladies come into this program that have just done nothing but work their tails off, and there's 16 of them right over here that have just done that, and they provided the growth for this program and really largely the direction for the program, and they are doing some amazing things, and we get to enjoy it.
All right, thanks so much, Coach. Let's bring in Molly right here. Molly, apparently you said let's rock it right before that floor routine, and that's exactly what you did. Just walk me through doing that routine in such a high-pressure situation.
I mean, I knew I just had to do what I've been doing in practice. I was really nervous. I was shaking. I just wanted to go up there and prove to myself that I could do it.
You just heard the PA announcer announce that Kentucky has won the first session of the SEC Championship. How does that feel to know that this team has done this?
I mean, it's amazing. We've been doing so well all season, and I'm so glad to be a part of this amazing team.
What was this like for you today as a freshman? There's so much going on. You're trying to adjust to the atmosphere. How would you describe it?
Oh, it's so different. I love the atmosphere, though. The high pressure, the cheering of everyone. It was so loud. It was really great.
All right, thanks so much. Let's bring in Alex. Going down the line here. Alex, you're 9.95 on beam, a career high for you. This is a really good beam team, but what is your mindset in those moments?
Pretty much how you said, we're a really good beam team. I have a really strong lineup in front of me, so it just builds the confidence, and I'm glad I can put an exclamation point on the end.
With what this team has been through to get to this point, how justifying is it just to know that you're able to accomplish this?
It's so great. We've worked so hard for everything we've accomplished, and I really think that we're just putting it all together this year, and it feels great.
What do you think this team can do going forward, knowing that you were able to come in here and compete with some of these other really good teams in this conference?
I think we're capable of so much. Today was not even our best day, and it was still great. I'm just excited to go back into the gym, work on everything. We have a lot to accomplish the rest of the year, so it's not over yet.
What can you say about Molly Korth?
Molly, she's a leader. She's just a freshman, but she's so great for this team. She's confident in everything she does, and I think she really just helps everyone out when she competes.
And how has Coach Garrison kept you all encouraged and confident throughout this season, and even today as well?
I think it's really important. He's really great at keeping us confident. He helps us through every event. He's in a great mood in meets, and it just, I don't know, it makes all of us excited.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bart.
Thank you, Laura. What a great day for the Kentucky Wildcats. Impressive win in session 1 for this very young team. And guess what, folks? The top 4 teams are in the building. They are arriving tonight on SEC Network at 6 Eastern. LSU, Florida, Alabama, and Georgia will go head-to-head for the championship.